As a regal alchemist who has studied the psychology of women who are sneaky specifically, I don't really think what I'm about to say is something that I'm genuinely happy about. I'm not sad about it either. I'm just seeing it for what it is. And I'm not numb to this realization or observation. I'm just, so that's what it is. Female loneliness is going to increase exponentially in the upcoming years. And most of us are well aware of this, and we don't say this with great gallantry and this sense of awe and wonder and this we showed them. We're not saying it with this type of energy coming into this. In fact, it is something that it's kind of concerning for a lot of women out there because they need a man to ground them. And this is not to say that they can't have the soul of existence on their own, or that there are not women who are fully capable of being self-realized, of course. It's just that through time and time again, women have demonstrated that collectively they care more about winning psychological warfare and this perception of power and beauty over true morality, justice, dignity, integrity, etc. And again, this is not something I'm pleased to be talking about. It's just simply something that we have to recognize. And we must do this with compassion. We must do this with a sense of holding the space for these women. Because who else is going to hold the space for them? I mean, you might look around your environment, and when you look around at your environment and you see the women in your area, these are your women. And if you don't take care of them, who is? So this is a strange phenomenon in which, especially with social media, I predict, and I don't say this with like I'm prophesying here, but if I had to take a gander on where things are going, I would say that in the upcoming years, online communities like the Regal Academy that we have is going to be of utmost importance when it comes to knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge and wisdom is going to be more precious than any type of food or anything, any type of material thing out there, because it's going to be something where depth is going to be the new proclivity toward that which is truly meaningful. It always is, but the communities on the online communities are going to be an aspect of that. Whereas something like my Godlike Mastery offer, that's going to be something more specifically individual to individual rather than the collective. And so what I see going on is this female loneliness is increasing by the day nearly. And the divorce rates are increasing by the day. And many men with full sacks are not taking up single women who have children, these single moms. Now, I don't have anything really against single moms. However, I don't advise men to, like the men that I do my Godlike Mastery with or my one-on-one sessions with, I don't advise them to do any type of pursuing of relationships with single moms. It's not to say that they shouldn't or they can't. I simply say that, well, depending on this person's situation, like for the Godlike Mastery offer, I usually have people that are more financially inclined, people that are more aware of the higher frequencies of life, you might say. And so this is a very specific type of individual who's aware of the spiritual warfare going on, but is looking to transcend that spiritual warfare. Because a lot of what women are going through in the day-to-day when it comes to this female loneliness is absolutely spiritual warfare. However, truly I say to you that you can exist in a place of timelessness outside of the spiritual warfare. You don't have to be attached to the idea of spiritual warfare. Good and evil are just perceptions of the same type of thing happening for different people. So it's not to say that good doesn't exist. It's not to say that evil doesn't exist. It's to say, and the Regal Change old timers will be aware of this with the Regal timeline theory, is that in timelessness, if we consider the soul of existence to be timelessness itself, then God, or the soul of existence, I call it the soul of existence, would be the reason why patterns exist in time anyway. So there's this fascinating and luminous quality to timelessness that you can exist in all the time. But it takes a letting go of the old timelines, and it takes a maybe even a killing off of the timelines. For the members in the YouTube community that I have, like here in the YouTube members for my channel, as well as in the Regal Academy, I made a video recently talking about how to kill old timelines. And this is going to be a very poignant process for you to look through, and that can be a resource for you to use. However, when we look at what women are going through, they're going to have to let go of their pride. They're going to have to let go of this prideful timeline, and that's going to be very difficult for a lot of these women to do. Again, I'm not trying to come at it from a place of women are evil or like this red pill, whatever. I'm simply speaking from a psychological diagnostic place, is that these women are very prideful, they're very proud, and they are addicted to attention and addicted to social media. Now, we all know this. However, the antidote is not going to be to shun women. Now, the soul of existence is inclusive, not exclusive, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't have boundaries. So the key is going to be, how can we have boundaries with these women while offering them compassion? True, unconditional compassion. I used to think that unconditional compassion and love was a thing of fantasy. But more and more every day, the more I let go of who I believed I was when I was, quote unquote, following Christ. And I still embody the teachings of Christ, but I don't follow Christ in the same type of way. So what I mean is that when I let go of who I thought I was with following Christ, I started to see women as souls more fervently. And I started to see men as souls more fervently. And then I started to see this whole existence to be one existence. That's why I call it the soul of existence, is because this is one being expressing itself in interconnected webs. Like history and time is like a cobweb, right? So if you look at a point in the cobweb, that's the place and time. But what I'm saying is that you can exist in a place in your heart and in your soul, and I don't mean psychophysiologically in your heart. You can exist in a place that is living beyond time, beyond good, beyond evil. This is exactly what Nietzsche said when he was talking about beyond good and evil. Okay, beyond good and evil, we have to look at women for people again. I don't think that seeing women as these evil witches are going to be very useful. And I don't see how viewing women to be utterly despicable and disgraceful and unredeemable is going to be helpful either. Now, don't get me wrong, women are going to have to be accountable for their actions. But that doesn't mean that we can't hold the space for them in that time. Okay, what else are we going to do? Like in the Hinduism, they call this the Dharma. So it's like a personal righteous going forward into your coming to God. That's the way that they view it for Dharma, right? This is, your Dharma is going to be dependent upon who you are. And maybe that single mom is going to be part of your Dharma. You know, maybe she is going to be part of your Dharma, but I'm not going to be telling you that you should do that or that you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying that I have yet to see consistent positive results when a man who has no children, who is financially stable, who has himself together in some way, shape, or form, expresses interest in a single mother and to end well consistently. I've yet to see that. However, I have seen where the man has children and the woman has children, and then they can make that work. I don't see that still as consistent, but it happens more frequently than the latter, or than the former rather. So this is all going to be a big kind of test into how we can truly live in accordance to that which is good, truthful, and righteous, while letting go of these concepts of those things. We just be love. We just be righteousness. We aren't trying to be something anymore. We're just being it. It's like the parable that Jesus talks about with the goats and the sheep, right? The goats, they were like, well, when did we do these things for you, Lord? When did we do these things? Whereas the sheep, they were like, wait, we did these things, but we don't even remember. You know, the goats are like, we didn't see you, Lord. We didn't see, if we knew that you were in trouble, we would have helped you. And the Lord will say in the parable, the way that this parable goes is that the Lord will say, if you didn't do these to the least of my brethren, you didn't do it to me. Whereas with the sheep, well, the sheep, I mean, they got everything, right? Like they did all that to the least of the brethren. Okay, so we have to look at some of these women, like these Bonely Cans women, man. Dude, like there's a lot of women that are they're gonna need a space to hold, and you might just see that this is part of their karma, right? Like this is part of their karma. They're choosing this, and it's not really our problem to resolve that karma for them, but it is on us to how we respond to it. We're not going to get karma if we respond neutrally or positively. And when I mean positive, I don't mean like cheering on the Bonely Cans. I was going to say the word, but I don't think I can say it on YouTube. So, yeah, we can't cheer on the Bonely Cans women, but we can offer them compassion and, wish them the best, but don't give them the money, or don't give them whatever it is that you're searching for from you, attention, whatever it is. Don't be too quick to justify those things. But if you have the opportunity to, work with the least of our brethren, kind of seems like the only way to go. I mean, what else is there to do? Except, like, this is one of the reasons why in the story of Jesus, he helps, like, the women from the brothel, and he helps the poor people, and he helps the sick, and like the least of the brethren is you. Like, hello, the least of the brethren is you. So stop thinking about women as them people or another species. They might as well be, I'm not saying this is it, but they might as well be us in a different life. And so how would you, in your position, if you had the opportunity to help these ladies, how would you do so? Because the female loneliness is going to get worse and worse. And the only thing that we can truly do is to offer a healthy psychological approach in which we are grounded in true spirituality, and not trying to convert them into anything or not trying to do anything, but just holding space. And we have to let them do what they're going to choose to do. We can guide these women, or we can leave these women. That's really going to be it. So with all that being said, I hope that this message was useful and insightful for you, and offered a different type of psychological analysis of the situation in which we can stay grounded, and we can look at this with clarity and neutrality, as well as not trying to spread this division, because that's exactly what the algorithms want. That's what the elites want. That's what all of these people want. So at least while I'm living on this earth, I'm going to aim to be as inclusive as possible. However, I'm going to have boundaries and I'm going to vet these people. Okay, it's just like a business, right? Like you have to vet people for the business, or uh, if you're going to hire somebody, or if you're going to be working with someone, like you want to know who you're working with. And so, yeah, with all that being said, I hope this message was useful and insightful. Stay blessed. Peace. Until next time.